parents who know that somebody that their kid is dating is bad for their kid don't always know. Sometimes the parent knows that the person their kid is dating is bad because the person their kid is dating is black and their kid is white, or the person their kid is dating is a girl and their kid is also an girl. There's a lot of reasons that parents will give that the person that their kid is dating is wrong. Isn't it weird how often conservatives want to just kind of bring us back, like several years, like several decades? They want us to go back to some things that we don't need to go back to. In this case, arranged marriages. So we're going to go ahead and get into that right after we get into the fan art section. First piece of fan art we have today is from Jet. Long Suris. Colors to come soon. Thank you very much for that one, Jet. The next one we have is also from Jet. It's just a sketch for now, but here's Hol-chan with the biggest hug for Nova. Aww, that's adorable. As always, everybody, thank you all for your fan art submissions. If you want your fan art to be shown in a future video, the best way to do is to drop it in the fan art section of the Discord. With that all said, let's go ahead and get right into the topic at hand. This comes from a very large channel called Wranglestar, and I have never heard of this channel. I'm surprised with all of the conservative people that I talk about that this would not be one that I would have known about, but let's go ahead and take a listen to the argument. The title of the video is it time to bring back arranged marriages? Let's find out.
How would you talk to the kids if they started dating someone that you knew is bad for them? It makes me think arranged marriages wasn't such a bad thing. No, of course, Mrs. W and I have always had this joke with people, and our friends are appalled, you know, like we're all about arranged marriages. And when...
What? So there's a couple of things to talk about real quick. One, parents who know that somebody that their kid is dating is bad for their kid don't always know. Sometimes the parent knows that the person their kid is dating is bad because the person their kid is dating is black and their kid is white, or the person their kid is dating is a girl and their kid is also an girl. There's a lot of reasons that parents will give that the person that their kid is dating is the wrong type of person to date. Sometimes they're right. Sometimes the guy comes in that, you know, sells meth on the street and you don't want your daughter dating them because they're literally fucking the dope guy. Like, no, you don't want that. Sure, I can understand that perspective. But to argue that parents are always the best judge of who your kid should be dating is to argue that parents always get it right. And that's not necessarily true.
I'll tell you, when people see Jack because of his character, he's a good kid, but really because he's had a beautiful mother that has raised him properly and educated him properly and seen to it that, you know...
Why do his eyes look insane?
She always says, this is an important job. I am raising another woman's husband. And she takes that role very seriously.
Okay, what about that requires an arranged marriage, though?
And we have, you know, it's still tongue-in-cheek, but as times are changing, it is a very common thing that people that meet Jack that have daughters of similar age, those comments are made. You know, oh, you know, too bad we're not back in the time of arranged marriages. You know, wouldn't Jack, you know, and those things are coming up, you know, and you know, so we think that that's so outlandish and so crazy. But it's not. It's a better way to do it.
It's not a better way to do it. There's plenty of reasons why you wouldn't want to do that. So you may see things in a potential partner for your son, for your daughter, that the potential son or daughter doesn't see, right? You might see somebody who's more stable, but you might not know if they actually are that way. This may be a person who is actually very unstable, who has a very good front, has a very good mask that comes off when they're in private. Sometimes you may find yourself saying, hey, you two should get together, but then you end up putting two people together, and when they get older, they realize they're sexually incompatible. one of them might realize they're gay and the other person isn't trans, so looks like they're not going to be keeping in that relationship for very long. Killer Jojo, thank you very much for the follow. It's not a better way to do things, because if it is a better way to do things, then you are saying that anybody else in a position of authority should be able to be the better judge over who you should be dating. If you think your parents would have been a better judge about who you should be dating, then maybe have that conversation with your wife. I don't know if it's going to go over too well, but realistically, let me throw a scenario out to you. There's your son. You got your son, Billy. And I know his son is Jack, but I'm doing this as the hypothetical. This is perfectly hypothetical for me. But let's say that you've got Billy here. And Billy, you want Billy to be with Sally. So, hey, Billy, you're going to be in an arranged marriage with Sally. And then, Billy's like 12. He's like, okay, Dad, that sounds great. Gosh, gee willikers, I would love to have a girlfriend. And isn't it great that my dad and mom set me up with the bestest girlfriend ever? And then they get to the ages of 15, 16, 17. The hormones start kicking in, and they try to do the sex thing. Billy can't get it up. What's wrong? Well, a variety of things could be wrong. Billy might not actually want to be in a relationship with this person. Billy might not fall in love with this person and might only be there out of a sense of duty to the parent. Is that good? I'd argue not. But they realize, I can't get it up. I can't do this. We are not sexually compatible. Or it may be that, Sally starts developing these ideas about things they want to do in the bedroom that are all very, very kinky, and even maybe a fetish or two might develop. And Billy might be a perfectly vanilla guy, not really on board with any of that. What are your options there? Well, make Billy really uncomfortable during sex, or, polyamory. But that kind of goes against the idea of the arranged marriage, doesn't it? So what gives? Unless you're willing to engage in a Ranma 1/2 situation where, Genma Saotome is literally whoring off his son to every single person who is willing to make a deal in exchange for an arranged marriage, then that's probably not going to work out too well for you. So what happens when you've put two people who are sexually incompatible with one another? Well, you've made them miserable. You've engaged in a scenario where these people are probably going to end up cheating on one another. Now, how would you know if they're sexually compatible when they're 12? Well, you wouldn't. At least I fucking hope you wouldn't. Said Ranma sounds darker than I imagined. No, literally, Genma Saotome takes Ranma, and just like if he needs food that day, he'll go to a family and be like, please, if we can just have one meal, I will give you my son to your daughter, and then we will have the arranged marriage. And he does that. He does that for personal gain so many times. I believe that one specifically is how Ranma ended up with Ukyo. Ranma 1/2's a fun series. Please go watch it. But anyway, you as the parents may create a situation where these people are sexually incompatible. You may create a situation where they are fundamentally incompatible. Let's say that Sally's a really, really big spender, and Billy wants to work a honest blue-collar job, and he's probably never going to make a shit ton of money in that position depending on what he's doing. He's going to make a healthy living. He's going to make enough to get by, certainly. Trade work is really well-paying work, but he might not be making enough for Sally's tastes. What do you do? Why do I keep saying Sarah? Why can I say Billy instead of Jack, and then I keep on going to a different S-girl name? It's weird. So then you've got Sally sitting here, who's not able to actually be compatible with Billy because their spending habits are simply far and above outside of what Billy is comfortable doing. What does Billy do? Well, the marriage was arranged. Do they break things off because things aren't healthy for them? They can't do the things that this woman is wanting from them? Or do they deal with it and just kind of deal with terrible financial instability despite making plenty of money to survive? It's better for the adults to make their own decisions about whom they want to be with and whom they want to marry. When you are the parent making that decision for them, there's a ton of variables you don't know, especially if these people haven't quite matured yet. You don't know what your son's gonna turn into. You don't know what Sally is gonna turn into when they get older. What happens when Sally is trans and your son is straight as a board? What happens when that scenario is played out? Does Does Billy just go, well, I'm gonna suck it up and it's okay, I can get used to this? What happens in that scenario? What conversations are had? None of them are good or comfortable.
Let me ask you this. Who is in a better position to pick a suitable mate for a 16, 17, 18-year-old girl?
So I'll tell you what, nobody. Nobody's in a suitable position at that point. The parent's not in a suitable position because whomever they choose or decide is not going to be somebody that the girl necessarily wants. Could be, but not usually. And anybody that the girl chooses might end up being somebody that's really not that great for them. But you know what? Letting them have that choice, letting them learn from that experience is better than having the parents make that decision for them. Because then they don't learn anything, and there's the added weight of what happens if they don't want that relationship. Why do people feel like they need to be trapped in the relationship that they got in at 16? Why?
Her father and mother of the age and wisdom that can look out, check out the family, do a little checking around, find out what's going on, talk to all parties involved, or a hormonally raging 17-year-old, 18-year-old.
Again, do you know that people hormonally rage even into their adulthood? I mean, especially people who go through second puberty with, transition. Point is, people might not be in the best position to make the best decisions, but giving them the opportunity to make those decisions and learn from those mistakes is better than not. And this guy's fantasizing a lot about who his child is going to sleep with.
I mean, can we just use some common sense here for a moment?
Common sense doesn't exist. Common sense is literally just the accumulation of biases that you have gotten from the point you were born to this point right about now. That's not common sense. That's biases. You're just asking people be biased. And when you say, hey, who's able to make this decision better, the parents or the child, you're assuming a lot about the parents. What if the parents are on meth? What if the parents are literally just the extras in Breaking Bad? Like, I'm sorry, but I refuse to believe that every parent is necessarily the best arbiter for the future for their child. There are plenty of parents who do not want the best for their child, but they think they do.
And get away from the fairy tale and my freedoms and all this BS.
My freedoms. I love how freedom is a BS thing to him. Conservatives have really gone down the drain. What are you conserving anymore? Slavery?
I mean, come on now. Now, I'm not saying I'm going to do that. We don't live in, that's not our culture. It's ridiculous to think about.
Yeah, I too love having an ideology that is completely separate from the culture that I'm in. And God, I sure would enslave my child to a marriage they didn't consent to. But dang, that gosh darn culture. It's just really inconvenient.
What I have done and Mrs. W have done is we work quietly behind the scenes. We listen to our kids. We make suggestions. We try to guide them in a particular way. We try to create environments where they will be amongst healthy people.
Good. That's what a good parent does. A good parent doesn't fantasize about arranging the marriages themselves. A good parent provides a healthy environment for the child to grow in.
And discourage environments where they'll be put outside of healthy people so that good choices can be made.
Okay.
But we keep our mouths shut. We will give advice when it's asked. Jack's not a child anymore. He'll be 18 now. But he's so comfortable. One thing that, I'm not going to get into personal things out of respect for him, but he's comfortable enough to come to us with questions without us prying that are very personal. And Mrs. W and I, after he does this, he's done this, he does it all the time. We marvel. And we say, goodness, I can't even imagine. I would have never, ever, as a Gen Xer, I would have never, ever came to my parents with that. Never. Just assume cut off my hand. Didn't do that. But he feels comfortable in doing that. And he does that because he's soft and he's a tender boy. And he lives in an environment with parents that make him feel comfortable that he can do that.
Okay, and that's good. I'm glad that you at least don't operate within a disgusting ideology of forcing kids into a marriage that they don't consent to. So wait, is this guy advocating for arranged marriage? He's somewhere between advocating for it and fantasizing about it, but not actually doing it because my culture says no. It's weird. Look, being a person who grew up on Ranma 1/2, yeah, there's a part of me that thought the arranged marriage thing as a plot point was kind of funny. And when I was at my loneliest as a kid, I thought that, maybe that would be kind of cool. But realistically, when you look at it logically, no, you don't want your parents being the ones that arrange your marriage. Now, if your parents play matchmaker, that's different. That's very, very different. If your parents just find a person they think that you would get along with and they make the suggestion, hey, do you two maybe want to, go to the mall? We'll hand you a couple dollars. You can go to the mall and just have a good time, hang out, have fun. Yeah, parents doing a matchmaking thing like that, that's fine. That's perfectly fine. That's no different than arranging a play date. It's just a different set of outcomes that you're expecting. And if that outcome doesn't happen, then hey, all you did was offer the suggestion and offer a good time. Whatever came of it, came of it. That's different than literally advocating for an arranged marriage. And it is very strange to make the video on it when, in reality, you operate like a normal, healthy parent. At least I assume so based on your words. But then you have this whole argument about, well, it's better if we arrange the marriages. Feels weird. Feels weird.
That will listen to it. And that's everything. That's everything.
Okay, and that's it for the video. It is literally just a weird soft area between let me arrange the marriages and I wish I could, but the culture told me I'm not supposed to. Lizzie the Slime Maid. What a wonderful name. Thank you very much for hopping in. Thank you for following. Yeah, it just feels weird. Seems to be a very, very normal parent with a very, very weird argument that I really, really don't agree with. But let me know what you think in the comment section below. Okay, autoplay, stop. Thank you very much for watching. This wasn't the most gross video that I've ever seen. I've seen plenty of weirder ones. BGR made a much worse argument for arranged and even child marriages. This was not that. Thankfully, this was not that. I'm at least somewhat pleasantly surprised. But let me know what you think in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you haven't already. And as always, everybody, insert end the video tagline here.